Right, so I'm back on it. This Final Fantasy 15 stuff. So recently, Super Eye Patch Wolf he made a video talking about how Final Fantasy 15 was a mediocre disappointment, and for the most part, it looked like a fair amount of people agreed, and I'm one of them. And so it's like really good video by the way, also. But it's like I just seen that video again, just riled up some emotions that I got to get out. I got to talk about this one more time, man. And it's like, oh man, what we gonna start with? I want to I want to talk about. I want to start off talking about like the concept behind Final Fantasy 15. I want to start with like, that famous tagline that we all know for Final Fantasy 15, the whole a fantasy based on reality, right? Now, we could assume that, it was just like it was just had to do with like just, the setting, the fact that it took place in a modern era. There were cars, technology, modern buildings, all that stuff. But it was also, I think I read that it was also going to be like, it was meant to be more gray in terms of morality with the characters, as well as like the plot as well. Because you have Lucius, right? Noctis and his royal family. Now, not only do they wear all black, which is already, kind of ominous in itself, but the fact that they're a city of they're the capital. Everyone there, they're worshippers of like reapers or like the goddess of death. So that's another thing, and also the fact that Noctis and the royal family, they operated like a yakuza, like a mafia or whatever. So they were probably doing some shady stuff in the background too. Now and it's like but hey, these are our heroes. These are our protagonists, right? And you got all this stuff going on, but they're the good guys. But then you have the other side, Niflheim and or whatever, and their colors are like white and whatnot. Correct me on some of the stuff if I'm wrong in the comments, please. But it's like, you got Niflheim, their color is white, and I think the reason that they attacked Lucius in the first place was because they also had a crystal, and their crystal died out. And so, and the crystals, you know how it was in the older Final Fantasy games. The crystals are responsible for like the well-being of like the different areas that they're in. So I think like Niflheim, they had a crystal and theirs died out, but they put like the remaining bit of their crystal's power into their military, which is why they have like the most advanced military, like out of all, like pretty much in the entire world, right? And so they didn't have a crystal anymore, so their country probably was going to die out. So that's why, they faked this whole treaty with Lucius, and then stabbed them in the back to take their crystal. So it's like it's still bad, but it's like more of an understandable reason than freaking generic evil empire, want power and whatever. No, it's more of a gray moral thing where it's still bad because you're screwing a bunch of people over, but it's like as a leader of your nation, you're like, I gotta do this for my people. We dying out here. Y'all got a crystal, so it's like. Plus, we know y'all doing some shady stuff, so it's like we just gonna come through and snatch that up on from y'all real quick, So it's like there's that gray morality going on. That Also, what was it? There was another tagline to go with it where it was like it was something from Shakespeare like there is no good in evil, only our thinking makes it so. And which I kind of interpret as being in like gray, people and the world is like gray. There is no black and white, like everybody's capable of good, everybody's capable of bad. There's no black and white. It's just gray, and all that goes into the gray morality of the story. You know, that paired in with the tagline of a fantasy based on reality that also goes in with the modern civilization and all that stuff. But yeah, it's like that's where that tagline was supposed to like go, I think. But then you have Tabata who comes along and takes the whole a fantasy based on reality and kind of just goes in the completely opposite direction with it. He just takes like a hard left, and for him apparently it's like a fantasy based on reality is like, oh, road trip, freaking hashtag selfies over photorealistic food and overabundance of pointless dialogue, slow, heavy combat. Even though these characters are obviously sort of superhuman, no, they're definitely superhuman. And it's just like, it's like, what are you doing, man? Like, it's like one of the main reasons people are so upset with this game, right? Is that this game is such like wasted potential. Because like we see it. We feel it. It's there. You know, the whole freaking, because you got the game, you got the DLC, you got the movie, you got the anime, and it's all this story content that's all over the place when it could have just been in one package. You know, you could have worked the story around a little bit different to make it all fit. But it's like, no, instead, this is what you do. And it's crazy because it's like, you know, people like to go on with this whole Tabata versus Nomura thing, and it's like, well, if Nomura, he made it, it would have been blah, 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 and it's his fault because he gave Tabata a broken product and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, as far as I'm concerned, Nomura's vision, whatever that might have been, that was in the 2013 trailer, dog. When the game was first renamed to Final Fantasy 15, as far as I'm concerned, that's what his final vision was. And apparently, Tabata still thought so too. Because if you look at Kingsglaive, that's pretty much what that trailer was. But instead, he just decided to make it a movie instead of a big part of the beginning of the game. And he decided to take Noctis and company out and replace them with these characters that are pretty much nothing. Because they barely get a mention here or there, and I don't know, it's so dumb. Like, but other than the story, it's like there's also like wasted potential when it comes to the gameplay, right? Because it's like the gameplay for Final Fantasy 15, for me personally, it's slow, it's heavy, it's boring, and it's clunky, right? And the clunkiness has more to do with like the engine than like, you know, a personal decision that made by the development team. But the slow, you know, boring, you know, of the whole gameplay, it's like that was like a decision, because I think Tabata was like, you know, he wanted the gameplay to have weight because, you know, more realism and everything. And it's like it just really proves. Well, let me go ahead and get back to what I was trying to say. Armored Unleashed, for anybody who doesn't know, is a DLC that came out for Noctis, where you get this item after you get all 13 Royal Arms, where it's like you equip this item, and then Noctis's armature is like completely different. Armature Unleashed is literally an overhaul of Noctis's base gameplay. Like, his attacks are so much more like, you know, quicker. They're flashy and stylish and dynamic. He looks like he's an actual master with these weapons instead of just flailing all around with this dumb crap. And when you press the square button, he teleports. You don't have to hold it or do a dodge roll. He just like does a quick little teleport from here to over there. And, you know, he just uses all of his weapons so much more masterfully. You know, he has access to like those abilities that you use, like how, you know, how the other characters, how when you like you can use different moves. You can command them to use different moves. Noctis has that too. And it's like, why wasn't Noctis playing like this from the very beginning? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, this is just what I was talking about. It's a waste of potential. Because I don't know how they came to this conclusion. I don't know who it was on the team that decided, hey, let's do this. Somebody must have went back and saw the older trailers, because even in Armageddon Unleashed, Noctis does like moves and poses that reference Versus 13. So it's like somebody on the development team must have went back, or something must have clicked, and they decided, hey, let's make gameplay for Noctis fun, because Noctis is pretty much the most boring out of the four to play as, and it's ridiculous. So it's like, excuse me, it's like it's really infuriating, because it does really show the wasted potential. Because it's like Armageddon Unleashed, it's still kind of clunky like the rest of the game, so it's like, but it's still cool. They could have just balanced it more, and it's like, it's infuriating because it's like, you had the chance to make the gameplay like this. You had the chance to make this a cool action RPG, but you deliberately made the choice to make this gameplay slow and heavy because you wanted to have weight and realism, when you could have had this totally awesome action game like this. And it's like, it all just reflects back to like dumb decisions. Like, why? Like, I don't understand. Like, why, when you have the option to do the most, you have the option to be the best that you can be, but you choose to be subpar. You choose to be mediocre instead of being your best, which I don't understand that mentality with Tabata. I really don't. But my Western games and my Witcher 3, and it's like, does Tabata even play video games? That's the thing that makes it. I was starting to wonder. I don't think Tabata actually plays video games, and it's like, yeah, it's just so insane, bro. Like, you choose to be mediocre, you choose to be subpar. That was a deliberate choice by Tabata as the director to make this game like this, right? Ugh, it's so frustrating. What else? What else, man? It's gameplay, story. Yeah, it's just, I'm just rambling now. I'm sorry, but it's like, it's just, you were given the tools. You were like, he was basically given the tools and the blueprint, but somehow along the development process, he somehow turned the blueprint upside down and just went in like just completely went off road. Like, and people think that, people who are upset with this game keep criticizing the game and criticizing Tabata because of, like, some sort of fanboyism for Nomura and the whole, Versus 13 thing. But it's like, that ain't it. That ain't it, bro. That ain't it, Chief. That time has passed. This game has been out for a few years now. And the time of fanboyism is gone. It's in the past now. People are looking at this game now as a final, complete product. People are looking at this game as a product, as an entirety, and they're looking at the person that it came from. The person who directed it in this direction, who is Hajime Tabata. Right? It's like, no hate for Tabata. I don't even know the dude. He might be cool, he might be a cool dude, but it's his ability as a director that I question. Because this ain't the only game of his that he's directed that I'm not a fan of. It's like, almost every time this man gets his hands on somebody else's project, he messes it up. Don't even get me started on the third birthday / Parasite Eve 3. Like, I don't know, man. This freaking, anything else I can go on about? Anything else I can go off about, dog? Gameplay is a mess. Story is a mess. We got some DLC coming, like DLC episodes later. Like, I don't know. I ain't got much to say about those because it's like, other than it being kind of dumb, because it feels like they're trying to overwrite the ending again. Uh, but other than that, it's like, yeah, Final Fantasy 15 is a mediocre disappointment. Not because of fanboyism. That's not the case. But because it's wasted potential. It was there. We see it. We feel it. But somehow we still managed to mess it up. But yeah. Shout out to Eye Patch Wolf, man.